Hello, welcome to Skull RPG Podcast. My name's Dwight Skull.
My name's Jacob Skull.
And today we're going to teach you how to tell your story.
So, on our last episode, we talked about killer horror, and we were going to flesh out a full thing. So this is a continuation of that. So to start off, we need to figure out how are we creating a closed loop. One of the things I was thinking of is if you have a really high powered wizard in the process of casting time stop, and then he gets killed.
So like he's halfway through casting the spell, or maybe it's a ritual spell of some sort. It doesn't really matter what the spell is, but it's got to be something with making time do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might have a rules lawyer who's like, time stop doesn't work like that. Well, you could say, well, he's actually casting a 20-minute long spell that involves, human sacrifice, and he's got a big old, you know what I mean? But regardless, he gets interrupted in the spell. I like that.
Yes.
And then what happens? What happens because of that?
It sets the world back. So now you're in this perpetual loop because of the spell. And the only way to break this loop is eventually to destroy the thing that caused the loop, i.e. the monster.
Or kill the wizard before... Well, no, I get your point. You kill the monster. You kill the killer, really.
Mm-hmm.
Now I argue, in order to make that work, it's not the entire world, because otherwise no one could get into the closed loop.
Yeah, so now it's this thing of a house or something that's perpetually out of...
It could be a house. It could be, I would say, make it an entire town. Like up in the middle of the mountains, in a valley up in the mountains where it's really hard to get to. Your players stumble across it, and maybe this has been going on for a while, so like the people are maybe 20 or 30 years out of kilter. Not big enough to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to... Some of you who've listened to our podcast are like, wait, this sounds a lot like another thing you guys talked about where, you have this time thing. Well, let me assure you, that's only to get us into a closed loop system. So now let's take it to a different level.
Yes.
So you have a small town. You have a powerful wizard there. You have this thing that's stalking people. And then the players come in, and now they're a part of the story. They're not necessarily stuck yet, but the longer they stay there, the more likely they are that they can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be this as you're building intrigue. Maybe they stay for a handful of days, and maybe this entire time period takes like 3 weeks or something to play out. So now you have if you listen to our timelines podcast on how to use timelines, you have this whole thing. We have 3 weeks to figure out what's going on. But you have this Groundhog Day effect, so that if they don't figure it out, you could just start them again.
Yeah.
But now they're stuck. Like if they live through the whole thing and they don't figure it out, they actually are now stuck in the world. There's nothing they can do. They gotta fix this.
Yep.
They still have free agency though, because they haven't been there long enough to be like looped in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. So that gives you your time, your closed loop, which means your players can't just easily teleport out.
Yep.
It gives you your hook, your setting, where maybe there is no hook to begin with. Like your players are just there. They start noticing something weird. You can kind of use it as a mystery hook. Like, I wonder what's really going on here. And as they start to figure stuff out and take time, they keep hearing about the wizard. Right? They keep hearing the wizard's name. They keep hearing that maybe the wizard is, depending on who you're talking about, you could come up with like a rumor table. And so one person says the rumor's killing children. The rumor says that the wizard's killing children to feed a spell. Another one says that the wizard is, captured clerics and he's using them forcibly to power his spell. Another one says that he's been working on this spell for like 17 years or something like that, and the entire town is actually like a part of the spell. Like it's like and they say this because certain buildings couldn't be built where they were supposed to be built. Like they had to be moved even like 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And your players can notice like the town actually is weirdly put together.
It's weirdly built.
And your spellcasters could be like, actually this whole town could be in the form of a huge ritual spell. And that ritual spell could have literally nothing to do with why they're stuck. It's just literally that's what this guy was doing, was using the town to fuel his magic. Others could say that the wizard showed up one day and he wasn't that high level, but within no time whatsoever, he's gotten incredibly powerful. And they don't know how, because they've never seen anyone get that much magical power that quickly. Others might mention fatigue every day. Now, whether that's because the wizard is sucking out their lifeblood to fuel his level getting, or something else. It's up to you. So there's just some examples of some rumors that could be really fun to just play around, that can give your players the reason to stay longer than they probably should. And then what you do, and this is key, you start creating memorable NPCs in the town. And I mean way more than you're ever used to. Like 10 memorable NPCs in this town. Plus the wizard. The wizard has to be 100% memorable. Make him a little crazy, a little goofy, absolutely nuts. I mean, just you want him to be the mad wizard type.
Yeah.
And then, but you want to have like regular town folks, like a baker and maybe a banker and like an armorer, and yeah, all the shopkeepers you can come up with. You want these people to be real. So maybe get a lot of props ready. If you haven't seen or heard our memorable NPC stuff, go back and listen to that one. It's just a couple of episodes ago. But that said, you want to make at least 10 of these NPCs very memorable. So right away, though, within the first day or two there, you have a victim found. Not one of your memorable NPCs, somebody else. But you want to kill them in such a way that it's really, really bizarre. It's not like you got hacked to death. It's not like it's something that the players aren't really aware of. And so we'll talk about how the killer kills in the next episode. But the idea here is to give a couple of deaths from random people in the town that doesn't look right at all. And your players are now hooked on, what the heck is going on here? How do we fix this? And then, because let's just talk about the whole scene, because it's going to make more sense. At the very end, what you're building up to is that this monster is killing off your unmemorable, no-name NPCs. Then, within a couple of days or weeks of it's like a 3-week closed loop, and then like the next week they start killing off your memorable NPCs, which if you do it right, your players are going to be absolutely ticked. You know, this is the woman I bought bread from every morning, and she was really nice, and she has 3 kids, and I don't understand like who's going to take care of her kids for her. I really want to go find this guy, and I'm going to nail him because I am so angry at this. Like, you want the emotion there. Now they're invested. They're not going to leave at all. They're going to find this thing and kill it. Well, then, but in the meantime, you have a timeline outside of this that you start. So you build a timeline where you're like, okay, every day somebody's going to get killed in the town. So I'm going to kill 21 people. On the 21st day, what happens is at the very end of the day, maybe at sundown, or in the middle of the night, the wizard gets killed in the middle of his spell,
and
which causes everything to reset for 3 weeks ago. And if the players are still there, you literally then you end on the cliffhanger of, you hear, like, if they weren't even there, you hear a scream, and then you guys are walking into town. It's a bright sunny day, and you're like, wait, it was just night. What are you talking about? And you're like, and that's where we're going to end it here tonight, guys. I'll see you in our next session. Because now they're like, what's going on? And then you start literally playing out the exact same events. And the reason you can do this is because you're going to build a timeline where you're going to say, day 1, the butcher's boy gets killed. Day 2, whatever. It doesn't really matter who you start killing because they're unnamed people. But then you get to like day 5, you kill the baker. And now they care because the baker had a great personality. The baker was involved. The baker was helpful. The baker maybe found them some clues, gave them free food, really happy to see them. Maybe the baker's this jovial guy, like, oh, hey, guys, how are you doing? It's so good to see you here. Here's some free bread. And then if you start asking questions, they're like overtly helpful. They're always answering questions. No need to roll. They just freely give up information. And then they're dead. And now it's like, wait a minute. We just lost our information lifeline 5 days in. And now everybody else that dies, there's no information, right? But you build that entire timeline of who dies, what's going on, and then you build out the timeline of the killer. We're going to talk about the killer in the next episode. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, thanks for listening.
And for more resources, please go to skullrpg.com.